Grand Theft Auto 6 is nearly finished according to Rockstar Games, who broke a week of silence this morning. But those two words are the least important thing in their letter. Nearly there. That's the quote traveling across every feed right now. It sits in parentheses, in the middle of a sentence, inside a paragraph that is actually an apology. It's being reported as news. It isn't news. Take-Two told investors the same thing on the 7th of August. Because the interesting thing about this statement isn't what's in it. It's what's missing from it. There is no leaker in this letter, no threat, no mention of an investigation, no legal language of any kind anywhere in it. And at the same time that letter went out, the company that owns Rockstar had lawyers in a federal court in New York asking for the IP addresses, the phone numbers, and the hardware identifiers of every single person who spoke in 3 Discord servers since the 1st of June. Same company, same week, 2 messages pointing in completely opposite directions. So let me show you both. The statement went up on Rockstar's social channels on the morning of August 26th. It opens like this. Dear all, we know that many of you have been waiting to hear from us regarding the events of the past week. Then the line that led almost all of the coverage. Having videos of Grand Theft Auto 6 gameplay leak in this way has been, quote, heartbreaking for our team. And this is obviously not how we intended for you to see the game after all this time. We're talking about footage of Jason and Lucia moving through the streets of Vice City and across the wider state of Leonida, an open-world action adventure that's been in development for over a decade, and it landed on the internet without Rockstar's control. Then, the apology. Rockstar says it's very sorry that everything has taken as long as it has. From getting the game finished, and here come the 2 words, in brackets, nearly there, to sharing more details and official gameplay. On tomorrow, the studio says it knows it needs to exceed your expectations, and that it's determined to deliver at the level players expect and deserve on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. On spoilers, exactly 1 line. Rockstar says it's unfortunate that the intended experience may now be affected and asks people to wait a little longer and play it themselves on November 19th. Then it closes by thanking the community for the messages of support, saying those words meant more to the team than fans can imagine. That's the whole letter. Read it twice and you start noticing what isn't in it. If you want the confirmed version of every GTA 6 story instead of the loudest version, subscribe. That's the entire reason this channel exists. Now, nearly there. I understand why it traveled. After 13 years, any signal that the game is close feels significant, but measure it against what was already on the record. On August 7th, on Take-Two's earnings call, the November 19th date was reaffirmed. It was reaffirmed back in May as well. It sits in SEC filings that the company is legally accountable for. The near-final status of Grand Theft Auto 6 was already corporate record before this morning, so nearly there adds tone. It doesn't add information. Then there's the history. December 2023, the first trailer pointed at 2025. May 2025, that moved to May 26th, 2026. November 2025, it moved again, to November 19th. Roughly 14 months of movement across 2 announced delays. I'm not predicting another one. Take-Two has been consistent, and there's an enormous amount of money riding on that date. What I'm saying is that a parenthetical inside an apology is the weakest possible form of confirmation. If tomorrow shows finished, running gameplay of Leonida, Vice City, the waterways, the open world, that's confirmation. 2 words in brackets are not. Which brings me to the part almost nobody is putting next to that letter. On August 20th, Take-Two's lawyers, Kirkland and Ellis, filing in the Southern District of New York, served DMCA subpoenas on Microsoft and on Discord. Look at what they asked for. Registration emails, registration and last login IP addresses, phone numbers, device identifiers, including Windows machine guide values, linked Google and Xbox accounts, OneDrive contents. And now here's the part that actually matters. Those requests aren't limited to the leakers' accounts. They cover every account that was a member of, or communicated in, 3 named Discord servers, going back to June 1st. One of those servers is reported to have more than 100,000 members. One of the 3 is connected to DarkViperAU, the Australian GTA creator. He said publicly that he knows nothing about it, that the server named isn't his editor's Discord, and that there isn't a single clip of the leaks in either of his servers. By every available indication, he's a bystander who got named in a federal filing. A privacy group, Reclaim the Net, put it plainly. Copyright law is supposed to target infringement. Here it's being used to hunt for identities. Some precision now, because this is where a lot of coverage has been sloppy. A judge signed orders directing the court clerk to issue those subpoenas. As of the 23rd, no user data had actually changed hands. Discord's marketing director said publicly that Discord hadn't been served yet, and that when it is, it will evaluate the validity and the scope before responding. Microsoft's Xbox chief technology officer said close to the opposite, that they're working closely with Take-Two and Rockstar to protect intellectual property. The compliance deadline is September 4th. And there's one more detail worth holding on to. Bloomberg reported on August 21st that Rockstar still hadn't identified who's behind the leaks, or how the breach happened at all. So this isn't a dragnet closing in on a known suspect. It's a dragnet thrown because there is no suspect. And that's after Rockstar tightened everything following 2022. Remote work ended. Staff were brought back into the office 5 days a week. Those measures were built specifically to stop this from happening again, and it happened again anyway. So one half of this company writes to players about heartbreak and gratitude. The other half asks a court for the hardware identifiers of 100,000 bystanders. Both of those are true at once. Neither one cancels the other. That contrast is the real story today, and you won't see it framed this way in most places. Subscribe if that's the version you want. So what does all of that leave for tomorrow? The logistics are confirmed. Grand Theft Auto 6, an extended look, premieres on Netflix at 3 p.m. Eastern on August 27th. It goes up free on Rockstar's YouTube channel and the official Grand Theft Auto 6 website 6 hours later at 9 p.m. Eastern. Everything past that is not confirmed. Rockstar hasn't stated a runtime. The BBC referenced a 30-minute special and then quietly removed that wording. A Netflix support agent said around 20 minutes. A graphic suggesting over an hour circulated and was dismissed. Every runtime number you've seen today is unverified. Rockstar also hasn't said what's in it. Not one official word about the contents. The expectation that this is the first real gameplay showcase, that we'll finally see Jason and Lucia in a properly directed look at Vice City and Leonida, is exactly that. An expectation. A reasonable one, but the studio hasn't committed to it. What we do know is that press and creator previews land tomorrow as well, immediately after the showcase, from people who were shown the game directly. So here's what I'd watch for. By tomorrow night, 3 things get confirmed that can't be confirmed today. How long the presentation actually is, whether it's genuine open-world gameplay or another cinematic cut, and whether official footage of a nearly finished game looks meaningfully better than a week of unofficial clips of Vice City streets and Leonida landscapes, because if it doesn't, nearly there becomes a much harder sentence for Rockstar to defend. And one thing will not be settled tomorrow. The legal track runs on its own clock, with a September 4th deadline, and nothing in a Netflix showcase changes what a court decides to do with 100,000 people's account records. Compare all of this to 2022, when 90 clips of this same game leaked. The footage that set the internet on fire, early builds of what would become the Vice City and Leonida, we're now waiting to see on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Arian Kurtaj, the teenager behind that breach, was eventually convicted, not through a copyright subpoena, but as part of a much wider hacking group investigation. Rockstar's statement at the time was cold and corporate. A network intrusion, an unauthorized third party, confidential information accessed. That one was written about property. This one was written about people. That shift is real, and it's worth noticing. Rockstar told a UK court that the 2022 breach cost $5 million to recover from, plus thousands of hours of staff time, which raises a fair question about whether the tool being used this time is the tool that actually works. But the letter went to players, and the subpoena went to platforms. Tomorrow starts telling you which of those two the company actually meant. I'm covering the extended look the moment it lands, confirmed details only, clearly separated from rumor, and no spoilers. Subscribe so you get it.